All right, I'm going to read. First of all, I want to say it's a thrill to get the chance to read with Angela, and it's great to see Liza and Francesca. I'm going to read a story from my book. This is it right here, the one that's up for the Locus. And I'm going to read a story. It's the shortest story in the book. It's called Monster 8. Originally appeared in Conjunctions magazine. All right. I ran into the local monster a couple of times behind the laundromat on my way home with clean clothes. He had a base of operations back there, since it was only a short dash into the woods behind the place. That forest goes on for 100 miles. I don't know what he's a monster of. Everybody said he was definitely one, but I hadn't seen it. He was just a fat guy who sat at a desk made of a plank and blue plastic milk crates. He had a hot orange scoop chair with 3 legs that he balanced on. For my money, he was just a sad sack. He was always looking at the woods over his shoulder, seeming to contemplate dashing back into them at the drop of a hat. A hairy motherfucker, though. You could stuff a mattress with just the crop off his back. And his conversation was self-deprecating, but not in a humorous way. He was always apologizing for everything. The weather, his mood, the news of the day. A monster of sorry, I'd give him that. So after having said hello to him, when leaving the laundromat a few times, one day I stopped and asked him why he was sitting back there in a parking lot no one ever ventured into, save a drunk looking for a place to piss, maybe a curious kid on a bike every blue moon, or me heading home from the laundromat on the path through the woods. He seemed surprised that I spoke to him. His eyes widened, raising his brows, and deep flesh moved around the horns protruding from his temples. Granted, the horn thing was a turnoff, like, what am I talking to, a buffalo? It's not a good look if you want to be taken seriously. So I had to get past that. I swallowed hard and waited for my answer. He grunted a little, and I could tell he was nervous. His legs shook, and it rattled the desk plank. I got business back here, he said. What's your business? I do my monster thing. Who pays you? Who's going to pay you to get harassed by a monster? I'm a pro bono monster. Working for the good of the people, I asked. That's right. I want to create an epic experience for everyone. How do you do that? Get into their lives, and then I see what the biggest problem they have is, and I turn up the monster BS level to just about that. They battle the monster and survive, and their real problems don't seem that difficult. That's the gist. What's monster BS? Could be everything from some light haunting, calling out their name in a spooky voice in the middle of the night, to shooting right up their toilet, taking a bite out of their ass. It's all in a day's work. Sounds rewarding. I heard you bit the head off the Miller girl. What was she, 16? Some collateral damage? That's not true. She's in town right now, still tweaking. The kid's got 9 lives. People tell all kinds of stories about me. My problem with the whole charade is that you're not scary in the least, I said. Well, it's scary and they're scary. Right, and you're not either one of them. I got kind of a thrill from telling off the local monster. Not wanting that feeling to fade, I added, you're more pathetic than anything else. Okay, I could see where this is headed, he said. He stood up to his full height. He was tall, maybe 8 feet, and wide, with rippling muscles beneath the red sleeveless tee, and hair and fat. My obstreperousness wrinkled away in the shadow of his stature. He came around the desk and put an arm across my shoulders. What are you doing? I asked. Look, there's no longer any reason for me to go on with this. You see through me. But since you're not afraid of me, you wouldn't mind taking a walk in the woods. Where to and why? I may not be mythic, but I've got something mythic to show you. Well, I have to go through the woods anyway. What do you say you stop at my place so I can drop my laundry off? Then we'll check out whatever it is you got going. Okay, he said, and led the way toward the boundary between the parking lot and the trees. I caught up with him, and as we crossed over, I heard him breathe a sigh of relief. We got on the path and headed northwest, where it would eventually lead to my place out in the sticks on the edge of farmland. Side by side, we ambled onward at a long, slow gait. He complained about how out of shape he was, apologized for it, of course. I asked him if he could at least give me a hint as to what he would show me later. He stopped for a moment on the trail, paws on hips. Looking into the sky, he shook his head. All I can tell you is it's connected to the ideas of fulfillment and the growth of the spirit. That sounds like monster BS, I said. For real, that's what it's about. I'm taking a chance showing this to you. Calm down, I said, calm down. The woods became a forest, the canopy thicker and blocking more light. There were spots where sun came down, like a transporter beam from Star Trek, puddled on the path, but there were shadows too, and they were extra cold. Somewhere along the line, his complaints about himself turned into a story he spoke, in cadence with our steps. Occasionally, purple finches darted above us. The trees grew taller as we went along, the oaks and pines like columns and spires in an enormous cathedral. I remember some real monsters, he said. For instance, my Uncle Ted. He was old school, tear him up, pop off the head, no reason needed. You know, just a total hard ass. And he looked terrible, lumps all over him, a pig nose, nails that were claws, pointed teeth, a fucked up face. He'd show up at a party with a pair of long knives and leave the place looking like a bad night at Benihana's. Slaughter was his nickname among his friends. He ran with a crowd of other monsters who called themselves the Magnificent Seven. 7 monsters, all impressively horrible. Each of them had a special trait and each a nickname. There was Bite'em, who bit people 100 times in a minute. One with the name Shit Breath Academy. He just opened his mouth and reality wilted. You get the picture. 7 monsters with more monster BS than you could shake a stick at. They were full of themselves, taking liberties with their mythic power, not to mention murder and mayhem in tall order. As they achieved the height of their power, there appeared on the scene a new kind of monster. He went by the title Monster 8, and he let it be known that he had come to defeat the Magnificent Seven. Monster 8 was different, more reptilian, had the ability to morph into any human form he had ever seen. His feet were molded in the form of high heels. His flesh was pebbled in red scales. He could leap, run fast, and was strong, but his most dangerous asset was his voice and what it said. In the end, Monster 8 shut them all down, 1 through 7, talked them right out of their lives. Uncle Ted split his own head with a hatchet. It took Monster 8 7 minutes to convince the old dope he was better off away in the cosmic elsewhere. Once his task was complete and the 7 were gone, he disappeared. No one knows where he went. It's said that he wanders the world, unable to die until 8 centuries had passed. I wanted to hear more, but we were approaching my house. Lynn was on the porch in her rocker. I waved as we came out of the woods and walked across the field. I could see her stand up and go inside. The moment I saw it, I knew exactly what was going on. She went inside to get her father's pistol. She knew immediately that I was walking with the local monster. As we reached the porch, I started up the steps, but she pushed through the screen door with the gun out in front of her, aiming at my new associate. Stay there, she said to me. And you, she said to the monster, make a move and I'll drill you with all 6. Have no fear, madam, said the monster and put his paws up. Lynn pointed a gun at me. She said, give me the laundry. She reached down the step and I reached up. She took the stack by lacing a single finger under the knot of twine at the top of the package. In her opposite hand, the gun wobbled and made me nervous. Once she had the laundry, she said, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to get that fucking thing out of here. Then I'm going to start shooting. You come home with the local monster, you're out of your mind. Early onset, if you know what I mean. I can't believe I put up with 40 years of your stupid shit. He's got mythic qualities, I told her. The monster nodded without lowering his arms. He smells like an epic shit. I can't believe you can stand the smell of him. Move it along. She looked directly at me. Then her gaze went slowly out across the field toward the old white garage, and she winked. Unload this walking turd and get back here for dinner. Hurry up. I turned to the monster and apologized for my wife calling him a walking turd. He shrugged and said, not uncalled for by any means. We stood out front for a few minutes, and I made as if I was unsure if I wanted to take the journey. When he started to get impatient, reminding me I had promised to go, I said, come to the garage with me. I have an ATV in there that we can take out into the woods. We'll go see your deal, and then I can get home quick. I do have an appointment to break a priest's legs this evening, so if we could pick up the pace, that would be fine, he said. We headed for the garage, a big building at the edge of the field beneath a white oak. I let him lead the way. Your wife is lovely, he said. I quietly laughed. He opened the whitewashed door and stepped into the dark. Hey, where's the light switch, he asked. An instant later, I heard him get whacked by whatever she whacked him with. I guessed it was that big plumber's wrench, just a twinge of a metallic ding as it cracked his skull. He went down like an 8-foot furry sirloin and slapped the cement floor. We worked together, had him strung up in chains in no time. In the middle of the garage, there was a large hole dug through the concrete and 15 feet into the ground. Lynn emptied a can of lighter fluid into the hole. We shared a cig, discussing the clean, accurate blow to his head. Before the smoke was out, I tossed it into the pit. The flames took, and in no time, he was awake and in agony at the melting of his flesh. The screams kept up for a while. The whole thing really stunk. Right when we thought he was finished and things simmered down to a sizzle and an occasional pop, Lynn called me over to the rim of the pit. She had been inspecting the remains from above with a powerful flashlight. I joined her at the edge, and she said, "What's happening?" I squinted and could see in the harsh beam that the charcoal remains of the local monster were splitting open. We've done 3 of them so far, and none of them before has done this after roasting for 45 minutes, I said. "Yeah, this ain't right." "You have the gun?" I asked. She pulled it out of her pocket, and as she did, the remains of the local monster, a flame-blackened shell, split open, and something quick as a wink shot out and hovered up by the rafters. It was red, with a long, flickering tongue. "Oh, shit," I said. "It's Monster 8. "No way." "Plug it," I yelled. She fired, and a shot went wide through the roof. I grabbed her arm as we made for the door of the garage. It chased us out across the field toward the house. Lynn stopped twice in our escape, each time fired a shot at it. It seemed she hit it twice as it was bounced back through the sky a few yards with the impact of each bullet. We ducked into the house, ran upstairs to our small library, and shut the door. I pulled the copy of The Marble Dance in the first bookcase to our right, and the shelves opened like a door. We ducked and stepped into the darkness, and the bookcase closed behind us. In that cramped space, we held each other. Only once we were in there did it become clear that we should have left the gun outside. We heard him enter the room and heard him draw a chair up next to the shelves we were behind. The flow of his reasoning was such that I was already convinced about early, inconsequential points in an argument for suicide before I realized he was speaking at all. His bleak message was relentless. We each closed our eyes, drew nearer, and staked our love against his monstrous powers. Thank you.